Well, I look at it like, I'm going to find that. And, when you're actually going and out seeking the paranormal, you shouldn't be surprised when you find it.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters, Not Currently in Bars. The podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail.
Bar reviews, scooter talk, ghost stories. We're an independent podcast that follows a group of modern and vintage Vespa riders in search of classic pubs, dive bars, and haunted taverns. Well, at least we did. This is not smart or safe, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. As a disclaimer, we never encourage drinking and scooting, and keep our intake to 1 per hour.
Well, welcome to episode 36, which is actually the next part of episode 35. So if you haven't listened to the previous episode, please do, because we're going to be doing another lockdown and listen up part D with completing our interview with paranormal biker investigator Miranda Young from Tennessee, the host and star of Ghost Biker Explorations, and an all-around cool person.
And we like her.
Yeah. So go back to episode 35 if you haven't heard the first half to kind of get an idea of what's going on here, and then get caught up with this particular one. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Hey, Coach Scout.
Yo.
You decided to risk it and come into the garage studio today.
I did, and my wife encouraged me to get the hell out, so I had to find somewhere to shelter.
Oh, get out of your house.
Sheltered in, yeah.
And then on virtual today, we have the Lizard.
Hey, boys.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you at?
Well, I'm sitting here in my home studio, and I just want to make it public that I just listened to episode 35 in the last half hour or so I'm up to speed, so I won't get yelled at.
And you were on it, so you should have had some memory of it. And then
that's right.
In Bobby Chong, are you with us?
I am, but I'm in my car. I just left the office.
Ah, so you're
Does that mean you're stopping by the studio?
He's an essential worker.
I know, but he's on his way home.
And
we got a lot of refrigeration out there to take care of.
There you go. Well, you sound a little cold, so I would agree with you on that one. And then Pendominono has vetoed today.
He's a no-no.
He's a no. Pendominono. So what's been going on, Mark? What's happening with you? How was your birthday?
Good. You're a new Catholic, and I'm a new 50.
Wow. Is that it? Is that all you've been doing?
That's all I can do. There wasn't much hoopla, although I was able to do a little Zoom Scout or Zoom, what is it? Not a pod.
You mean the Zoom
video thing?
Video webinar
with some friends,
thing?
yeah. I had a little happy hour with them.
Nice.
It's a nice touch.
And how about you, Lizard? What have you been up to?
Well, I worked out this morning, and then I went for a nice long walk with my wife, and then I came home and ate about half a bag of potato chips, and that's about it. No drink in my hand or nothing.
Wow.
Uh-oh, that's a violation.
We don't have that problem here.
I know.
Hey, I just thought of something. If I did a virtual 50, does that mean I'm still 49?
No, you are 50. You're in your 50s.
Damn.
Hey, Chong, any news you want to share with us?
I'm pretty boring this week. Just been going in the office and coming home early, but right now I've decided to go out to the Doyle's Pub because they'll serve me a drink.
Congratulations. I was going to ask you, have you picked up any food lately?
Yeah, actually I have. So they're serving food, and if you want to drink while you wait for your takeout, they'll pour one. And I don't know if it's legal or not. Everybody else says it's not legal. But
well, you walk away and go outside, right?
Yeah.
That's a really good piece of advice.
Way to support your local community.
That's right, I think.
Exactly.
So if you guys are in lockdown out there, here's one reason to get out on your scooter for some essential riding. Go to your local blood bank and give blood.
That's a good idea.
We're going to talk about that on another podcast, a little blood ride. But right after you do, have a quick cocktail. Seems to work pretty good. And once again, it's essential, not recreational. And otherwise, we got to be careful. I also want to bring up another nod to Steve Williams, the Scooter and the Sticks guy that wrote a recent blog about sacrifice and sacrificing our riding so that we don't get hurt and take up valuable resources at the hospitals. And I think he's got a really good point. I read some of the comments are down below, and several people said, geez, after reading this, I'm going to feel guilty if I go out riding. But we also want to bring up there is essential riding, like to go to the blood bank, like we mentioned, to the grocery store or things like that. Just be super careful.
Or to check on a friend.
Right.
You know what, boys? I like that guy, Steve, but he's got way too much common sense for my liking.
Well, I just gave it a second thought when I was headed to the blood bank, but I rode anyway, and it felt pretty damn good. You can catch Steve, of course, at scooterandthesticks.com, and you can make yourself feel bad. Finally, trying to look at the positive side here of this
that
whole
must be your meditation.
The COVID thing. Yeah, I'm trying to say, hey, what's so good about this? What are the good things about this? And I think here it is. The Earth is reclaiming its territory, her territory. If you've read, water is already clearing up everywhere. The pollution and carbon footprint of the CO2 over the Earth is the hole, whatever that is. What hole is that, Bob?
The vaginal hole.
It's somewhere out over the Arctic or the Antarctic.
Yeah, but what do they call? What is it called though? There's a name for it. Yeah, it's not methane that's causing it.
Let's just call it the hole.
The hole in the ozone.
Oh, the ozone hole. That's right. Thank you.
It's the ozone.
Yeah, it's closing up.
It's the hole.
The hole is closing up. So,
well, you know what? That'll make Al Gore happy.
That's right. And then also, I think that we are spending more quality time figuring out how to communicate with our roommates and our spouses and our friends, because it's just, even though we have to be apart, we are closer together, I think, talking about it. So I think there's some pretty good things for the human scooter riding race out there.
Yeah, but I'm ready to go out and
really?
Be free again. Yeah.
Ready
to ride and go to a bar. And
yeah, those bars aren't open, Mark.
I know.
So running out of things to do?
Yeah.
Well, perhaps you should record that weird story on your phone's voice recorder and share it to our email at markh@chasingghosts.net. Maybe that would be something fun to do.
We have room in the hopper for a few stories?
We always have room. In fact, I recorded a great one with a guy up in the mountains the other day that was really, really good. That'll be on a forthcoming podcast.
Is that the guy in the sticks?
No.
That's a different guy.
No, a guy up in Cle Elum area.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Or here's another thing you can do. You can write a compelling review of the Chasing Ghosts podcast on like Apple Podcasts or Facebook or, just a couple ideas like that.
And this is because nobody's done that yet?
Well, no, there was one the other day. It was really very nice. It was just a nice rating. There weren't any comments, but we welcome the comments. We welcome constructive criticism. You could say something like, really tired of hearing about you asking for reviews, so here you go.
I know we are.
And then I also want to, this is kind of cool. There's this.
What do you do with your zipper? Put that back up.
There's this app called Chartable, and they look at podcast ratings and all that kind of stuff. And I mentioned in the past that New Zealand is like our number 2 behind the United States as a listening area. And we are number 72 in New Zealand in the top 100 for personal journal podcasts.
Wow, we're making the climb.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. 112th in Australia. Huh. Couldn't find much else other than that.
That's good data, though. Top 100.
But I think they only have 86 in New Zealand total.
Well, we're not rock bottom then.
Gosh, we're almost there. So thank you, New Zealand, for getting us on the list. That's really, really cool. And for the rest of you, I'm talking to you. If you have anything paranormal to share, just find us on social media and or our website or anywhere and send it to us. That would be really, really great. Hey, guess what time it is, Mark?
Is it that time again?
It's time for Scooter News. You
I
almost
get
said
confused.
it right.
I have too many options.
Okay, so we've been talking about the smartness of scooter travel at this time during the year of COVID, and how important it is that we're careful and that we distance ourselves and and we don't use up resources and that sort of thing. But I came across a kind of an interesting blog entry on Top Speed blog. Yeah. And it's titled, "The Mandates Say Essential Travel Only, so why not use your motorcycle?" You could replace that with scooter on this one. And listen, we've already talked about what's essential travel and what isn't.
Well, I know
Grocery
mental
stores.
health is so important during these stressful times.
Right. That's very good.
I was reading ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So they say stay at home, shelter in place, self-quarantine, and practice social distancing. These are the messages that they're receiving. But while the details of the public mandates vary from area to area, there is still an emphasis on solo activities and being mindful of mental health. Mark, you're exactly right.
But we've been doing solo activities for years now since our wedding day.
Yeah, I got caught once. That's really embarrassing. Essential travel only is the rule, so why not use your motorcycle, weather permitting? So they put together some pretty good ideas and thoughts here. Steve Williams, sorry about that. He's saying that, now this is kind of what I like, leather or some other protective material is frequently worn as are gloves, so our skin is largely protected from casual exposure.
Oh.
Yeah. So he says, of course, and Mark, listen to this, this doesn't apply to the T-shirt and flip-flop riders out there. But since you already demonstrate a complete lack of common sense, I don't expect you to adhere to any kind of safe practices here.
Why are we taking shots at each other?
So,
but I thought it was eyes, nose, mouth. The skin is not the issue.
Okay. All right, Dr. Shelbert.
What I'm reading.
So I do like that they say in this stressful time, a little bit of throttle therapy can go a long way.
That is good.
Okay. He's saying if you take off your gloves to touch anything, squirt your hands with sanitizer before putting them back on. All right. And he's also saying put on plastic type gloves underneath, the sanitary type gloves are also a really good idea to do. So here's some other ones. Your pillion pad makes a dandy platform for smaller items if you have a selection of bungees or bungee nets, which you can strap things down when you go to the grocery store.
What is a pillion pad?
I think that's the pad behind your seat.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe we ought to make a call to Andrew down at Vespa Portland, see if he can tell us what that is. I could use the
education.
He's saying to increase your carrying ability, add soft bags. Well, we put those maybe on the nose cone up there a little bit, right? That's up there. He's talking about magnetic tank pads, probably not applicable on that one, but he says, you can
this article's got a lot of different options.
Yeah. He's saying when you go buy fuel, use your credit card at the pump instead of going inside to prepay.
I think that's about 85% of 90 people.
And make sure after you use the handle that you, once again, use your hand sanitizer. He's saying travel with nitrile gloves, a small bottle of sanitizer, and some wipes. Well, we already carry the wipes.
You've proven that theory correct.
He says when you take off your riding gloves, put on the nitrate gloves before you touch the pump nozzle. So far,
are we doing sex ed here? Or are we doing?
So far, the virus has been found to have an alarmingly long life outside the human body. It can survive on hard surfaces such as plastic and stainless steel for up to 72 hours, except for copper, which kills it dead as disco in a brisk 4 hours. So protect yourself with the gloves. Pull them off, and drop them in the trash before you put on your riding gloves.
Well, who needs Governor Cuomo? We've got you.
After your ride, clean and disinfect your bike, helmet, gloves, and phone. The CDC suggests materials and techniques for this. Regularly wash your gloves and your helmet liner. Don't forget about that.
It's going to be an issue.
Pay attention to the vents and face shields that you tend to touch frequently. And don't forget to remove the padding or armor first on your gear. So when you wash it, pretty important. Most importantly, stay away from gatherings of people. And if you've got symptoms, probably not a good idea, and get someone else to bring you to where you need to go. You don't want to get anybody sick, actually.
Actually, sounds like a lot of work.
On a positive note, we've never seen the road so deserted, so the dangers posed by inattentive cagers, I kind of like that, are significantly reduced. So there you go. There's a little bit of...
I don't know if that helped me or if that made me more paranoid.
Yeah, well, I think you have to
Because I wasn't doing a lot of these things.
We need to be mindful, right, Chong? Right, Lizard?
Well, I mean, I'm all for being careful, but that was a little bit overcooked.
Really?
I agree.
saying.
Yeah.
Well, well, I don't know. There seems to be a lot of people with names on it that are starting to catch this this bug. Como, the guy on CNN, got it, and now Brooke, somebody on CNN, also has it. Two of their anchors. So I wonder what they've been doing.
Riding dirty.
It is the
They've been riding.
They've been riding dirty, though.
We're going to skip spooky news today.
What?
Yeah, we're going to skip it and just finish our interview with Miranda because her stories are scary enough, and I think that that's just going to fit in. I mean, if you remember, she's a Harley-riding paranormal investigator of Ghost Biker Explorations. And on the previous episode, she shared some of her investigative adventures and her most frightening experiences. And again, listen to that first before digging into this one. But here, she talks about what followed her. I mean, followed her home more than once in her own home creepy adventures, a little bit about her dog, Sugar, and also her experiences investigating bars, haunted bars. So this is where it all comes together.
But we need
Mark.
to listen to the first part to make it make sense.
Well, it'll make sense anyway. It's still interesting stuff, but you should listen to the episode 35
Like
in
a
advance.
Little House on the Prairie episode that continued. You got to watch the first one to
Right.
make it make sense.
Right, or just start from the very beginning, 35 episodes ago, and
Wouldn't you
caught
like
up.
that?
We're gonna just get
Let's
on
get
here,
to it,
and
yeah.
remember, this is coming in mid-interview with Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations, and this is good shit, man.
Yeah.
Begs me to ask another question, and that is: has anything ever followed you home from any of these?
I did have on one occasion something follow me home. I try to be very protective about that, but I have had on one occasion, and that was when I investigated Hell's Bar Dam here in Guild, Tennessee. And it's right on the line of Middle and East Tennessee, probably about 30 minutes on northwest of Chattanooga. And it has a very, very interesting history. I think a lot of folks may have seen it on some of the paranormal entertainment shows.
I think I have, yes.
Yeah, it's got a really interesting history to it. At times, it can be kind of dark toward females, but I've never really had any issues there. But when I was investigating at one particular time in the control room, I was in there with two other guys, and whatever was in there in the control room was, it was touching my leg, and we got some pretty nasty EVPs from it, just kind of talking real bad to females. So I didn't really think a whole lot of it, but because it was pretty interesting EVPs, I came home and I started having some weird stuff happening in my home. At the time, I had a dachshund. She passed away late last year, but she was 17, and as you know, dachshunds, she was a small one, so she was about 14 pounds, and there wasn't a whole lot. They think they're big and mighty, but there's not a whole lot they can do because they're so small. I know. Started having some bizarre things happen. Started having some stuff move. I had 3 Tupperware containers sitting on my counter. They were stacked up where I'd washed them, had different colored lids. And one day when I came home from work, the middle Tupperware dish was sitting in the middle of my kitchen floor, which I thought was kind of odd because at the time I had just moved to this area and was renting the house that I currently own. But I thought, maybe my landlord or something at the time had come in and moved something, but it's weird. Put it there. I checked with him. He hadn't been in the house. And so I went and put it back up. Next day, there was a box. It had an air compressor for my bike. I just got it for my birthday, and I brought it in, left it in the living room while I was going to work. The box was shredded up. And so I thought, well, the dog may have done that, but the air compressor had been moved to the center of the room. Real weird.
Yeah.
So over the course of a couple days, some different things had been moved. the dog food container, everything was being moved to the center of the room. And then the dog bowl had been moved, and it was sitting in the center of the doorway, flipped upside down. And when I picked up, there was dog food under the top of the bowl.
Well, that's not nice.
Dog couldn't move it. Yeah, I couldn't figure out, why, because it was little things that you would think a dog would do, but my dog had never done anything like that before. So I put a recorder out, had it sitting there in the kitchen, and I went to work, let it record, for about 8 hours. And the way my house is set up is it's a split level house, and the kitchen's up on the upper level. And, you set the alarm to go, the homeowner's alarm at my side door downstairs. So you hear me leave. I set the alarm. 13 minutes and 10 seconds later, you hear my dog come out of the bedroom, and she goes into the kitchen, and she's pacing around. You hear her panting. You hear her little feet clicking on the tile in there, and she's just clearly distressed. And I get this creepy, garbled voice that says, "Sugar, stop." Now, my dog's name is Sugar, which was really kind of strange. That was the only thing that I got, but it was this garbly voice. So fast forward, and of course, at the time I was fairly new in investigating. This had been about 9 years ago. And so when this happened, I just been investigating for about a year. And, at the time it was kind of like, I kind of cautioned people about checking their own homes out, because you do actually have to sleep there,
Yep.
when at night. And so that kind of, it was such a mix of excitement of like, oh my gosh, there is actually something causing this. But then also, oh my gosh, what's causing this? And I had just been to Hell's Bar. And so there was that. And then my sister, she was staying with me. She had come down, stayed for a few weeks, and because she had some clinicals that she was working on. She came out of the bathroom. This was, like I said, after this had happened a few weeks. She saw a shadow figure pass through that was a man wearing a trench coat and a top hat. Now, I've never seen a shadow figure, thankfully, in my home. That really freaked her out. And then I also, not long after that, about a week or two after, I left another recorder, and I caught what sounded like a child up in the upstairs area of my house talking. It said something about going outside, and it was a very clear EVP with that one.
Wow.
Now, there's not been anything that's happened in my home as far as with the previous owners or what have you, but fast forward to 2 years ago. Now, I didn't have any activity. After I got that child's voice, I didn't have any activity in the home from going and investigating any of these places after that. But 2 years ago, I had a home security system in with cameras and everything now in this house. And I went and I did Hell's Bar again. I've done Hell's Bar a total of 5 times. And this was the last time I did it. I had gone the weekend before, and during that week, while I actually had some EVPs where something had called my name. So whatever was in there, the activity I was getting seemed like they remembered me. But I had come home one evening, and I had my motorcycle jacket laying on a chair in the living room. And my dog had, which again, small dachshund, had pulled my motorcycle jacket off of the chair and used the bathroom on it, which was a really odd behavior for her. And as you know, a lot of these riding jackets and stuff, they've got the armor and stuff in them. They're pretty heavy jackets. And so I was all, mad about that. And I thought, why would she do something like that? And so I went back the next day and I watched my video footage from my security cameras. And what's really crazy about it is she did this 10 minutes before I came home. And about 30 seconds before she pulled the jacket off. She had been pacing around. You see her look at the jacket, and it looks like, it appears out of nowhere. It's this orb. It appears out of the jacket, like it comes out of the jacket and moves across the room. Right after that, she pulls the jacket off and uses the bathroom on it. So rather, in my mind, because of her behavior, rather it being some type of, being upset with me type of behavior, it seemed to be more of a protective, territorial type behavior.
She was cleansing the jacket.
Exactly. She pulls the jacket off. She uses the bathroom on it. I come home 10 minutes after that. I clean the jacket. So I actually watched the footage for about another 30 minutes because I kept seeing these little things on the footage, and I was real intrigued by that orb that I saw. So probably about 20 minutes after, I'm sitting there eating. I had brought some food home, and I was eating, and the dog is sitting in the floor. Well, I go to get up to throw the food away, and when I get up to walk out of the room, you see something shoot across the room. The dog clearly sees it because she's looking the opposite direction of where I'm going. It shoots across the room, and of course I get up to walk out of frame, and when I get up to walk out of frame, and that shoots across, it raises the thing that you're seeing on the screen raises up, and you start to see what looks like the shape of a side profile. And the way it moves, it's like the side profile of a face. It just kind of strolls behind me. And it's not some cameras will get like the trail of where the person moves.
Right.
I'm 6 foot, and so I'm fairly tall. And whatever this was a little bit taller than me, so it wasn't like a direct shape of my profile. But I leave the room, it walks in behind me, and then the dog just goes crazy, starts just pacing back and forth. And that really kind of freaked me out just a little bit. I've actually considered releasing that footage just to kind of see what other people think, and just to show that every now and then things will potentially follow you home. But
scary stuff.
After that, I never had any issues over the past 2 years. After I saw that, like I said, it did kind of weird me out because I felt like it was following me out of the room there.
Yeah.
But I never had any issues afterwards. And both of those times that something happened was when I had investigated Hell's Bar Dam.
Wow. So we're going to get down to the last couple of questions here for you.
Uh-huh.
First of all, have you, and by the way, that gave me the chills 2 different times when you told that story. So I'm a big chicken. Have you ever investigated a haunted bar or tavern or pub? And if not,
have.
Oh, good. Oh, great.
I have.
So give us the short version.
Okay. Well, actually, my very first place that I ever investigated was a haunted bar. It was a Mexican restaurant and bar, and that's actually what got me hooked because I'd watched some of the paranormal entertainment shows on TV, and it's really different experiencing it in person than watching it there on TV, and I actually got invited because of my background in photography. A team had reached out to me to analyze some of their photographs. They saw my background. So they invited me on an investigation with them. These 2 guys, 2 members of the team had invited me. And I went, and I actually ended up having a really cool session with the lady. There's a lady who, she had her seat at the bar, and the bar overlooked, it was in a marina, so it overlooked the bay there, close to the area you were talking about with the locks and everything there in Chattanooga. And so yeah, we were doing an experiment of sitting down, having a drink, kind of having a girls' night with this spirit, because she had her own little seat there because she went so often. And that was really where I had my first experiences with a spirit. And I've loved doing bars ever since.
Oh, good.
And actually, I actually have a friend down in Alabama, down in Birmingham, that owns a bar, and they hosted an event for me back in September of last year. And so I had heard that their bar was haunted. But what was cool about it is, so they hosted this event for me, and they were they also had a podcast, and they were skeptics. And so I had gone down, done the event, and they were like, just kind of for fun, because I was going back the next day, they're like, you ought to come and check out the bar. We'd like to go on a hunt with you, because, they were skeptical when I first talked to them. And then as time went on, they were a little less skeptical. And then after that night, went in, I really didn't have a lot of expectations because I didn't know a lot of history about the bar. We did about a 2.5 hour investigation myself with the two podcast hosts and in my friend's bar. And what's really cool about it is we started getting it took maybe about 30 minutes before things really sort of started lighting up, but started asking I was asking some general questions because I didn't want to know a whole lot when I went in. And then the husband of my friend that owns the bar, he started asking some more, exact, poignant questions, and flashlights at that point started going off. We were playing some particular music, and what's really cool is, so for me, when it comes to equipment, I don't base it, like, if a flashlight goes off, that's great, but, I like to base it on multiple pieces of equipment to kind of validate what's going on. And so we were having lights that weren't going off and tools that weren't going off. When we started playing a specific piece of music, over in the corner, we started playing some Creedence Clearwater Revival. Boom. This light and these tools over in the corner. It makes you think of the guy, that's kind of sitting off in the corner when their song, they're real quiet, their song comes on. It's like, hey, over here, Yeah. And we were talking about specific drinks. And what I really learned from that experience at this bar, and why I really like doing bars, is because, for a lot of people, you've got your regulars, and it's like a second home for them. And it's generally a happy place. And so the activity that I got, and I'm actually planning to go back and actually film an episode at this bar in Birmingham. And it's really just kind of a small dive bar.
Love those dive bars.
Yes, those are my favorite. And what's cool about it is we noticed they had plaques of the regulars in their seats and these were the guys that had passed away and that came there all the time. So they put these little commemorative plaques in their seats. And so what I'm really excited about, and actually doing a full-scale investigation at this bar in particular, is because of that very thing. The fact that, I think we can actually, for me, not knowing the people is going to be helpful. But for the bar owner that does, being able to see these characteristics, to try to identify and see, if it follows along with the behaviors of that particular regular. And there's a couple that's in there, I think 3 or 4, that they're, kind of wanting to investigate, and see if it could be activity related to those particular folks. So wow. I'm really interested to do a story on a bar just because of the nature of what it is.
Yeah, when we go in and ask, it's a higher percentage than you would think when someone says, yeah, we think it is haunted. I mean, it's because it is a place where people gather and have good memories or strong emotions. So
exactly.
It's been fun. We're more of ghost story hunters than ghost hunters. But man, what a fascinating conversation and stories that you have, Miranda. And real quickly, can you tell us how the easiest way for people to find you? I know I mentioned a couple, but maybe you could just real quickly go through.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can watch my past 2 seasons and any lives that's coming up and any future vlogs and episodes that are coming up on my Facebook page, Ghost Biker Explorations. That's probably where I'm the most active. I like that because I can interact with people real well on there. They can also watch all of the videos on the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel. And then also on my website, we post the videos up there, which is www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. And to follow along with the photography and drawings and stuff that I post from these different locations, they can see that as well on Instagram under Runaway Vixen.
Yeah, I like that name.
Thank you. It's two of my favorite bands, the Runaways and Vixen.
Oh man, there you go. Miranda Young, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us at Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars about Ghost Rider Explorations. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to be keeping up with your next episodes, and we'll post a little bit about that. And at this point, I'm going to stop. Well, there you go.
What a great storyteller.
Yeah, and I'm curious, do you think we still have Lonnie and then Chong on the
One
call?
way to find out.
You guys still there?
I was on the edge of my seat.
I don't know. What do you
I've got
think?
2 things. One, that's for you, Miranda. Thanks for the great stories.
And I'll second that.
And I think maybe I should spend the night with her.
Right, and do finally be convinced?
Yeah, she said she was able to make a skeptic less skeptical, and that's what I need, a night with Miranda.
Well, why don't you go to Knoxville with me on one of my business trips, and we'll make her take us to a haunted bar. And
Well, you do need a handler.
I do need someone to keep an eye on me. What did you think, John?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, that was great. I missed a bit of it because something just completely. I lost all audio.
Yeah, that was
our controller here in the studio. He was afraid of you guys making noise, so he muted.
I did. I'm sorry. No, I was playing around a little bit, and if you heard a phone ringing in the middle of that interview, Bob, that or anybody, that was me calling you back, getting you back into the flow.
I probably wouldn't have heard it if it was just ringing because I was disconnected at that point.
Right.
Well, he is Bobby. He is the wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah, I know. And we all
know what?
him.
You know what, Mark? Don't they have your plaque at the mill, at your seat at the mill already?
No, I haven't died yet.
It's coming
I know,
soon.
But I think they already bought it.
Yeah, they're making it.
So here's the thing, and first of all, this is so many new things are happening in our podcast. One is I got this new music bed we're listening to underneath right now, and the other is this whole Corvid thing is changing our approach. I mean, we don't have the same ability to capture transitions, different bartenders and servers and people.
The old way.
Well, the old way's gone for a little while, Mark. You're going to have to deal with that. And we also, can't be riding to bar and collecting those stories. So now we have our guests, we have our participants, Chong, and in this case, Lizard.
And we still have the Roadcaster 2000.
We still have it going. It's running so many different things right now. It's unbelievable. So we'll get back to the bars, and we'll get back to the ghost stories we collect in the bars, and we'll get back to flirting with some of the bartenders that are in the bars.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. This is the Lizard from Three Tree Point, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
That is so nice. Thank you. So, with that being said, we want to say thank you to Weeknights for the original music and our crew, both virtually and in the garage, and mostly to our listeners who have made us the #1 scooter podcast in the world, and number 72 in New Zealand, which is actually kind of cool. I mean, we haven't been on a list for quite a while.
I'm not that kind of list.
So, With that being said, keep your head on a swivel.
Hey, are we doing a part 3, or this concludes the continuations?
This would conclude it, I think.
Okay, so next one will be a whole new episode.
Yeah, and we've
37.
kind of got that set up. We got Blood Ride coming and some stories from Cleellum. Maybe it'll be Blood Ride in Cleellum.
Let's hope it's not Blood Clot. And
Remember, keep your writing essential and be careful, wash your hands. And with that, episode 36.
in the books.
Copyright 2020 by Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.